Hi, it's Dave. I want to let me sort out the microphone here. I want to go over how I use the tonal balance plugin today because this is probably the most useful tool that I've got because for mixing and fixing audio problems, my ears aren't great. I can't really rely on them. Um, Used to go to lots of loud gigs. My hearing is not the best. And also for certain audio problems, especially quite subtle ones, um, I can't tell what the problem is reliably just by using my ears. I need a tool. And that's where I use tonal balance control from Isotope. Um, I think I got it as part of a Isotope bundle, but it's normally around about $60 ish, I think, but sometimes goes down to 29 when they have sales. Um, I would recommend getting it if you're thinking about getting Ozone or something. Try and get it in the bundle because it is really, really worth it. Now, I've got a big, loud orchestral track here, which I'm just going to play a bit of. It's already sort of mixed, um, and it's quite loud. So watch out; it's about to come on now. I've got this section here looped because this is the loudest part and everything's going. Got the full orchestra here. Apart from percussion, I don't think there's a lot of percussion in there, but it sounds pretty good. Like already, it sounds nice. I've got Drama on here, but it's turned off. That is used for, let me click on that. There's a setting. The only thing I use here is the air. It says on there, but it's actually the whole plugin is turned off at the moment. We'll get into that later. But one thing it does do really nicely is add very high top end, kind of sizzly top end, like you would get on the top end of cymbals, and it adds a bit of that to the mix. Although it is turned off. I've got Ozone. I've run the automated mastering on here and tweaked that. So at the moment, that is, well, I'll show you it. I'll show you it. Why not? It's adding quite a lot of top, a bit of bass, and a slight dip in the middle. Impact is not really doing that much. Imager is doing a little bit. Clarity is doing a little tiny bit. The stabilizer is doing a little tiny bit. Dynamic EQ is fixing a few little peaks in various places and just keeping those under control. That's automated. I don't type that in unless there is something that it's not caught that I need to fix. The maximizer is on slightly. I normally, these days, this track is from about a year or so ago. These days, I normally turn this off because for the music that I usually do, which isn't usually this loud, I don't need it. And I find that the automated mastering hammers the compression. It usually has the upward compression up at like a maximum like 6, and it puts this up really high. I usually turn that down, but this is what it's at. I'll leave it at that for now. If I turn Ozone off, you'll hear what it's doing. So this is it. And off. That's muffled. Turn it back on. Get that top end. Having this weird thing at the moment where my space bar, which would normally start and stop it, it just sort of keeps starting it. So you hear there that Ozone's adding clarity, basically. It's adding a bunch of high end, and it sounds like a big improvement, and it's not increasing the volume too much. Now, if I go to tonal balance control here, this is the orchestral preset for this. Tonal balance doesn't do any processing of the sound in itself. It's just an analysis tool. So if we play this, we'll see the line should stay within this shaded area here. Around the middle of that, this kind of going up to a peak here and then going back down as it goes up. This is where you want your frequencies to reside. The reason it goes down, I think, as far as I know, is because higher frequencies are higher energy. And so to get a good balance, you want to have this kind of shape going on. If we go to the other presets like hip hop, They're slightly different shapes. This is created by analyzing released music, I think, and taking an average of thousands and thousands of tracks for different styles. So actually we can do modern here. Modern might be a good one to go for. So let's play the track through with Ozone on. So this is with the automatic mastering and a couple of tweaks by me, and we'll see how it looks on here. We can see there is the bass is going a bit too high, and this very high top end right at the top of the high mids into the highs is a bit too low. So you could go in and fix that with EQ, but that's kind of not the best way to do it. If you can fix it with the arrangement, this will be better. So let's go and figure out what is causing that bass peak first. We can solo each section. So we can hear that there's a sustained note that's loud. And that sounds like that lovely distorted synth. That sounds like the basses are doing that. There we go. Now, we've got the basses soloed, and because this is about balance, when you just have the basses, that will shoot up higher, because when you bring everything else back in, it will change the balance. So this is not just about the frequencies alone. You don't want to get them down here on their own, because that won't make any sense once all the other instruments are in. It's about balance between everything. So I'm just going to try turning these down a bit. Take these down a bit. It won't show up much on here. And I might just have a look in here as well and see if the volumes are very different. No, they're pretty stable. They do go up and down a little bit, so I might just even that out. Bring it down a bit more, and then I'll bring everything else back in. Still going up a little bit high, but we have got this really enormous bass pedal. This is the Union Chapel organ from Spitfire Audio, and the pedals are monstrous. It's really deep bass. So one thing here is that the really real lows are actually up a bit high. Let's see if there is any EQ on that. I don't remember. Oh, no, so there's no EQ on that. So what I might do is I'll put an EQ on that and take down, not a high pass we want, sorry, not low pass, we want a high pass, and we just want to take off the really, really lows that are down at like 30, because those aren't doing much for us. That probably won't make a difference on here, but we'll just turn it down about 3 dB or something. See how that sounds. That's got that more or less under control. So that's more or less under control, I would say. It could still do with maybe a little. See, my problem here, let me stop this. My problem here is that it's too high here, but it's not that high right on the border here with 200 to 300 hertz. So what I might do is I'll put in a little dip down here, but a little boost a little bit higher up. Do the same thing on those strings. Let me just do all the strings. Yeah, there's a real lack at about 200. I wonder... These maybe need to come up a bit more. And these ones, actually those are in about the right place. I'll bring the cellos up a little bit. So the cellos have gone up and the bass has gone down a little bit. So they're really that long. I would say that's now improved things. Now, you might be thinking, I don't really hear much difference there. And you'd be right. It's not a lot, but it's something that will make a big difference if it's played in a loud venue. The bass would be really, really deep and really out of control. Now it would be more under control. And also there was that extremely deep bass under sort of sub 30 where you're not really going to be hearing that. It's not adding anything to... our perception of it, but it's going to be adding in a load of energy on really low speakers, and that might affect playback on things if there's sort of frequencies at like 20 hertz or 10 hertz that are really loud. That might cause issues with playback if it's on something, or even smaller speakers might be trying to do that frequency, but they can't. Now, what we've got right at this top end, let me just play this a bit again, and we'll look at the top. This very, very top end is low. When the brass came in, it went up. So it's on the brass already, so we won't touch those, but the strings... The strings don't have any of it. And if I play this and just solo the very high frequency, you'll hear there's probably nothing there. There's something there, I can't really hear it too well. Let's boost that a little bit and see what happens. This can be good sometimes. Sometimes it can just increase noise. Okay, that's helped. If you take it off, you might hear the difference. Do you hear that extra little bit of crispiness that went in? I'll solo the highs and see how it sounds now. Just hear the tiniest little bit up there. Let's try with the instruments. What I'm going to do now is add back in that drama, because that is just going to be adding the air, and that's about all it does, the really high frequencies, and hopefully that will fix the air problem. So you can see on there, that's an improvement. I will play it again and take the drama off, and you should be able to hear the slight dulling of the sound. difference once you actually hear it. When you're adjusting it a little bit at a time, or you're hearing it, in two separate sessions, it's not something you'd probably notice, or I wouldn't anyway, not with my ears. But by following the instructions on here of where it should be, that's improved the sound. This 2 to 300 bit here is bothering me. It's low. Maybe if I put those up a bit. Just boosting the EQ right there. I'm going to change that to a band and just boost that around about 300. Maybe there's woodwinds in there as well that could... That'll do it. That seems like it's in the right place. So the last resort here is in the equalizer to bring this up around what's about pedal back up a little bit. I took it down a bit too much. Just boost up that bass a little bit more. Okay, so that's looking all right to me now. So that is a variety of the way that I fix those kind of problems, because listening to it, that very first version that I played to you sounded fine to me, but there were some improvements that I could make which I wouldn't have got just with my ears. So another thing, well actually if I just play this and I'll solo the highs again, there's more there than there was before, but there's no cymbals or snare drums or anything. If there was cymbals in this, crashes and gongs and cymbals and stuff, that would also fill up this space. I'm just going to put a little bit of extra EQ around that zone for that. interest as well. If I take off the mastering that I've done there and just play it without those, we'll hear how it sounded without any of that and see what that spectrum looks like on here as well. The fascinating thing there, that it's not about things being right or wrong, but it's about things being in balance. And, you know, the mixing and mastering that I did there helped to put things back in balance. Caught that synthy, brassy thing at the funny moment. So often, you know, if your mix is sounding boxy, or it's sounding boomy, or it's sounding thin, or it's sounding weak, you may have all the right elements in there. They might just not be in the right balance. And using this tool can sort of show you where the weak spots are. You might have a big dip down in the middle. If I force that, and if I like take this down like that and do a bunch of massive dips in the middle like that, and then play it, you can already hear in the mix that something's wrong, but you might not be able to tell what that is until you look here. This is down in the middle. The bass is up high, but this bit here is way down. Fix that. It's just a subtle thing, but it makes a big difference to the sound. So I hope that's been useful to you, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye bye. Feel free to ask any comments about this. You know, I'm not an expert at mixing. I've learned over many years how to just sort of do what needs to be done. I'm not exceptional at it, and I don't have great ears. I need a tool like this to point me in the right direction, because I wouldn't be able to figure any of this out just by listening. So yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.